Have you ever been there? It's Thursday, payday isn't until Friday. Maybe you're sitting in the drive-thru line or you're at the grocery store watching the scanner beep, and you're doing that quick mental math. You know the one, where you calculate exactly how much is in your checking account down to the penny, hoping the card doesn't get declined. It's that specific sinking feeling in your stomach when you realize that you're working really, really hard, but the numbers on the screen they aren't moving. They're stagnant. And then, on the other side of that coin, you see the internet. You open TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and you see these 19-year-old kids showing off their Lamborghinis, or screenshots of trading accounts that look like phone numbers, and the caption always says something like, "Easy flip," or "I turned nothing into everything overnight." It makes you feel like you're missing the secret. It makes you feel like if you could just find that one loophole, that one trick, you could turn your measly $500 into $5,000 practically overnight, and then all your problems would just dissolve. My name is Zach, and honestly, I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth while others stay stuck in the same financial hamster wheel for decades. And I have noticed something really interesting about the desire to turn a small amount of money into a large amount of money quickly. It's usually born out of desperation, but it's often fed by a misunderstanding of what money actually is. We tend to treat money like magic, but it's actually just math and behavior with a delay. Now, look. If you clicked this video hoping I was going to tell you to put your entire $500 into some meme coin or a high-risk options trade that has a 99% chance of going to zero, you can click off right now. I'm not here to gamble. I'm here to talk about how you actually 10x your money in the real world. Because here is the truth that nobody wants to admit. Turning $500 into $5,000 is possible, and it can happen relatively fast, but it doesn't happen by magic. It happens by using leverage, specifically, the leverage of your own effort, your skills, and your psychology. The way you view that $500 matters more than the $500 itself. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you take a small pile of cash and turn it into a serious runway for your life. We're going to talk about the psychology of the flip, the actual mechanics of high ROI activities, and why most people fail at this exact step. It's going to require you to shift your thinking from consumer to investor, and trust me, that shift is worth way more than $5,000. The first thing we need to address is the gambler's ruin trap. When most people say they want to turn $500 into $5,000 fast, what they're actually saying is, I want a 10x return on my capital without putting in any work. That is the definition of a lottery ticket mindset. And look, I get it. We all want that. But if you go to the casino with $500 hoping to walk out with $5,000, the house math says you will almost certainly leave with $0. The system is designed to take your money. Same with crypto speculation. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not investing, you're just donating money to people smarter than you. To actually multiply your money, you have to stop looking for passive returns and start looking for active returns. This is the biggest mental shift you need to make. If you have $500, you don't have enough capital to make money work for you. You have to use that money to buy tools or opportunities that allow you to work for more money. Let me give you an example. Let's say you take that $500 and you buy a pressure washer. You spent your capital. You now have $0 in cash, but you have an asset. You go door to door in a nice neighborhood, the kind with driveways that get gross every winter, and you offer to clean their driveway for $100. It takes you about 2 hours. You do 2 of those a day. That's $200 a day. In 5 days, you've made $1,000. You reinvest some of that into better chemicals or a flyer, you keep going. Suddenly, you've turned your $500 equipment fee into $5,000 of revenue over a month or two. That isn't gambling. That is business. That is leveraging capital to create labor value. It's not sexy. It's not clicking buttons on an app while you sleep. But it works every single time. The difference is, you are the engine. The $500 is just the fuel. This brings me to the second point, which is arguably the most important one, the skills arbitrage. I was reading this book about the Industrial Revolution, and it's crazy how we used to value craftsmanship. Now, we've sort of lost that. But in the modern economy, if you can learn a high-value skill that nobody else wants to do, or that nobody else knows how to do, you can print money. If you have $500, the single best investment you can make isn't in the stock market. It's in yourself. It's in a specific, monetizable skill set. I'm not talking about getting a 4-year degree. I'm talking about spending $200 on a certification course for Google Ads, or spending $300 on a high-end used camera lens if you already have a camera, or buying a specialized tool for a trade. Hey, race a real-world scenario that happens all the time. Let's say you spend your $500 on a window cleaning kit, a squeegee, a bucket, some high-quality solution, and maybe some safety gear. You watch 3 hours of YouTube tutorials to learn the technique perfectly. Now, you go to local commercial businesses. You offer to clean their storefront windows for $50 a pop, once a week. If you get 10 clients, which is totally doable in a week of hustling, that's $500 a week in recurring revenue. In 10 weeks, you've banked $5,000. But hey, race the kicker, you still own the kit. You still own the skill. You can scale that. You could hire a kid to do the cleaning for you later, and you just manage the clients. You turned $500 of cash into a money-making machine. Most people look at $500 and see a new pair of shoes, or a nice dinner, or a new video game. An investor looks at $500 and sees 2 window cleaning kits or a certification that raises my hourly rate by $20. It requires you to delay gratification, which is painful, I know. Our brains are wired to want the reward now. But if you can fight that biology for just a few weeks, you change your financial trajectory completely. I want to take a second to talk about something that, honestly, drives me a little crazy. It's the lottery ticket psychology we touched on earlier, but I want to go deeper. We are culturally conditioned to believe that wealth is an event. You know, I won the lottery. I got lucky on Bitcoin. I got a big inheritance. We think wealth is something that happens to you. But real wealth, the kind that lasts, is a process. It's boring. It's repetitive. And turning $500 into $5,000 is the first stage of that process. It's the stage where you have to do the heavy lifting because your money isn't strong enough to lift itself yet. I remember when I was starting out, I thought I could just save my way to wealth. I saved $1,000, and I felt proud. But then a car broke down, and it was gone. Just like that. That's because saving is defensive. Investing is offensive. When you take that $500 and you use it to generate $5,000, you are playing offense. You are forcing the universe to pay you attention. The other trap people fall into is analysis paralysis. They get their $500, and they spend 6 months researching the perfect business idea. They want to make sure there's zero risk. They want to guarantee that $5,000 before they even start. So they never start. They just hoard the $500 until they spend it on groceries because life got in the way. Done is better than perfect. If you lose the $500 trying a business idea that fails, that is not a failure. That is the cost of education. Think of it as tuition. You paid $500 to learn what doesn't work. That is valuable data. So, let's get tactical. We've talked about pressure washing and window cleaning, but I want to give you a broader framework you can apply to your own life so you're not just copying me. To execute this 10x flip, you need to find a problem that is urgent, expensive, and gross. Urgent means the person needs it fixed now. If their basement is flooding, they don't care about getting 3 quotes. They need someone yesterday. Expensive means the problem costs them money if they don't fix it, so they are willing to pay you to solve it. Gross means, well, nobody else wants to do it. If you are willing to do the things that other people are too lazy or too squeamish to do, you will always make money. Let's look at another example. Dumpster diving or junk removal. You take your $500, maybe you buy a used truck bed or some heavy-duty tarps and a dolly. You go to a local rental complex or a neighborhood where people are moving out. You see a pile of junk on the curb. You knock on the door and say, "Hey, I see you're moving. If you give me $100, I'll have this gone in an hour." They pay you to avoid the hassle of driving to the dump. You take the stuff, sort it, maybe there's metal you can recycle for cash, maybe there's furniture you can clean up and sell on Facebook Marketplace. Suddenly, you've made money on the pickup and the resale. This is the hustle. It's not glamorous. You're going to get your hands dirty. You're going to sweat. But this is how you bridge the gap between having nothing and having something. It's how you build momentum. And once you have that $5,000, the game changes. Because now you can start investing. Now you can start playing with the big boys in the stock market or real estate because you have a war chest that protects you. There is a hidden benefit to all of this that nobody really talks about, and I think it might be more valuable than the $4,500 profit. It's the confidence you gain. It changes your identity. When you are broke, or when you are living paycheck to paycheck, you feel like a victim of the economy. You feel like the system is rigged against you. But when you take $500 of your own hard-earned money, you risk it, you put in the sweat equity, and you force it to grow into $5,000 through your own sheer will and effort, you realize something powerful. You realize, hey, I can do this. I am not helpless. That shift in identity is priceless. Because once you know you can make $5,000 appear out of thin air, well, $500 in hard work, you know you can do it again. You lose the fear of poverty. You know that if you lost everything tomorrow, you could build it back up. That kind of calmness, that deep-seated confidence, it changes how you walk, how you talk, and how you make decisions. You stop making fear-based decisions. You start making growth-based decisions. Start. I see so many people who are terrified of spending money because they don't know how to make it back. They hoard their resources. But once you've mastered the art of the flip, you know that money is a renewable resource. It's like water in a stream. You can divert it, you can use it, and if you use it right, more will flow back to you. So, let's recap this journey. We started with that relatable feeling of being stuck, of wanting more but not knowing how to get it. We realized that the secret isn't in finding a magic stock or a lucky bet. It's in shifting from a consumer mindset to a producer mindset. We talked about avoiding the trap of gambling your money on passive investments when your starting capital is too low. We discussed using your $500 to buy tools or skills, like a pressure washer or a window cleaning kit, that allow you to sell services to people who have problems they need solved urgently. We touched on the importance of finding urgent, expensive, and gross problems to solve, which is where the highest margins are. And finally, we looked at the psychological transformation that happens when you successfully execute this. You stop being a victim of the system and start being a master of your own domain. Now, I want to be real with you for a second. This isn't easy. It's going to take late nights. It's going to take knocking on doors and having people say no. It's going to take sweating when you'd rather be watching Netflix. But honestly, that friction is good. That friction is what builds the muscle. If it were easy, everyone would be rich, and then $5,000 wouldn't mean anything. The difficulty is the feature, not the bug. The difficulty is the barrier to entry that keeps your competition low. You have $500 right now. Maybe. Or maybe you have $100, and you can hustle to get the other $400. The starting point doesn't matter as much as the decision to start. You are standing at the edge of a really interesting journey. It's a journey from just surviving to actually thriving. It starts with treating money with respect, treating it as a tool, and treating yourself as the most valuable asset you own. Go out there, look at the world not as a consumer asking what can I buy, but as a producer asking what can I solve. Solve one problem, get paid. Solve it again, get paid again. Repeat that process enough times, and you won't just turn $500 into $5,000. You'll turn your life into something you actually enjoy living. Thanks for hanging out with me, listening to my ramblings about money and psychology. I hope this sparked an idea in you. If it did, do me a favor, start today. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the perfect time. That time doesn't exist. Just start.